Welcome to Whispers of the Soul, talking about tarot. I don't know much about it. Let's see what you don't know about tarot too. I have with us Bonnie Anderson, who is one of the very few people I ever have asked to do a reading for me, and I was pretty impressed. So again, I don't know much about tarot. So I asked her if she would share her experience with tarot, maybe the history of tarot, and then whatever questions y'all have. So I don't have but here she is.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm absolutely honored and delighted to be asked to talk to tarot, talk about tarot and oracle with you. I will start off just saying I don't read tarot or oracle professionally. It's not something that I do to earn money or to provide a service for people, but more so to help friends and family, and actually probably the biggest receiver of messages is myself when it comes to tarot and oracle. And it's really a tool that I've come to rely on over the past few years to help me really understand not only what my own reflections are of a situation, but also the messages I receive from my spirit guides. And so just a little bit about my journey. My journey with tarot really began in 2021. So I'm relatively new, I think, in the grand scheme of things when it comes to tarot and oracle reading. And it was really kind of as an entryway to me to connect with spirit and with my guides, and to really open up my psychic ability, let's say. And so I had started exploring it towards the end of 2021. And one of the suggestions that was made to me at that time is just to start pulling a card. Pulling a card every day, just see what it says. Don't really read too much into it, but just kind of reflect on that message and start pulling a card. And at that time, I'd kind of had already one set of tarot. And I'll be honest, I struggled to read tarot. And it was a very kind of ancient set. It was based on one of the old designs. In fact, I have it right here. It's a beautiful design of tarot, and they are the very old drawings made from medieval Italy. And so I had started using this deck, but it didn't speak to me. And so I struggled to learn and understand really what the cards were telling me. And so instead of kind of laboring over the messages and the meaning behind each card, I decided to step back from tarot and look at an oracle deck instead, which is an easier access to guides.
Question: can you explain the difference between tarot and oracle?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say is when I started using that oracle deck, it started speaking to me almost immediately. So this is the oracle, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But if we think about the tarot is really a much more kind of structured card set. Each card has a different meaning according to the suit that it's in, similar to the suits of a regular card deck that we play games with today. And it has a set of kind of overarching cards as well. It traditionally was used as a card game. And it wasn't actually until the late 18th century that it was used for divination. So the card game, as was known, it started in Italy around the 15th century. and they depicted these beautiful images as part of that game that they were playing. One of the most interesting cards, I think, is the Hanged Man card, and it's just a man upside down hanging from a rope. Sometimes it's depicted hanging from a tree, and this card gives you a bit of an indication of the culture that it comes from. And actually, the Hanged Man image is from an old Italian punishment for what we would know as white-collar crimes today. So if somebody in that village had done some sort of fraud or some sort of blackmail, and they were caught, and the local magistrate or whoever it was found them guilty, they would paint that man upside down on a wall somewhere in the center of town, and that would be his punishment. He would be shamed in that. So then it came into the tarot deck, and now it's used not to mean punishment. It has different meanings behind it, meaning somebody is stalled, or they are indecisive, or perhaps kind of a little bit hung up on a topic. So it's really interesting how the meanings have evolved over time. When it comes to Oracle is a much more flexible system, and the cards in Oracle are designed by the actual designer of the cards, by the artist of the cards. And so there is a huge myriad of different types of Oracle decks of any topic that you can think of. Many of the Oracle decks will take from indigenous cultures, every indigenous culture across the world, because divination has been used in many different forms for as long as humans have existed, really. And so it's just another way to bring that aspect into modern day culture, I suppose, or pop culture as we might know it. So I actually get on a lot better with Oracle. I have one deck of tarot that I now use as part of my readings. But just to give you an example, there's this beautiful tarot deck that I've just shown you, the very original type of imagery. But you also have modern day tarot cards that are more striking, or there's different arts that are on it. The deck that I use very often for tarot is a Celtic deck called the Wildwood Tarot, and it has different for things and different suits, but ultimately they map back to the original tarot. What else did I want to say in terms of history? Yes, so there is the major arcana of tarot, and there's the minor arcana. There's 72 cards in all. 21 of those cards make up the major arcana, and these are the ones that have the beautiful imagery on them in the original deck. The rest of them in the original deck are really quite, not that interesting. You can't really see what it's about. That there is called the Six of Pentacles, or Six of Coins. It might also be known as that would be the Eight of Swords, I guess, on that one. But they've become more elaborate, and artists do amazing things these days. But the difference between the major arcana and the minor arcana, how I use it, the major arcana really represents something big, long-term, disruptive in your life, whereas the minor arcana might be just more of a smaller signal, more of a short-term message, something that might be more of a blip in your experience. But the major arcana signals something a little bit more major, maybe more life-defining. So in terms of tarot, that's how you can see the different types of cards. Um, when I was starting to learn and started to pull my oracle cards on a daily basis, there was a moment I remember when I was still a little bit in disbelief that spirit was with me. I hadn't quite gotten all the way there yet, right? And I remember it was shortly before Christmas in 2021 when I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to ask the question, are you really there? And I pulled the truth card. And that was the moment, I will always remember it. Are you really there? Truth came out. There couldn't have been in these cards a better card to pull to represent yes. And so I remember that was just a real moment for me in terms of my understanding of the world, understanding of how spirit works, and where I needed to go from there. It was maybe 4 months later that my first spirit guide truly revealed herself to me. But she has since owned this deck. So she will talk to me through this deck, and she will help others through this deck as well, which is absolutely beautiful. And as I've gone on, my other decks have been taken up ownership by my other spirit guides. So just to give you an example, my Wildwood Tarot is now used by an ancestor spirit who was a Celtic priestess and revealed herself to me as one of my long time ancestors from the Dark Ages. So and she comes through on this deck, and they'll often nudge they will nudge me and say, read for this person, or each spirit guide might say, use this deck, I want to read for that person. So now I have like a myriad of decks of different, both tarot and oracle, reading for different purposes and different reasons. For myself, I've really found it so healthy for my own mental health. It acts really like a mirror. It's like it helps me think through any sort of problem, or helps me to really understand that maybe it's not as big of a problem as it might have, that I might make it out to be, or what actions I can take. And I've really been able to support myself through these decks, and have spirit also support me. What I know, and everybody will have a different experience with their spirit guides, but sometimes they struggle with language, sometimes they struggle with different concepts, and it's helpful for them to have cards that use imagery to help them depict their message. And so, particularly in the Wildwood Tarot deck, each card in this one, and one of the reasons I find it so easy is that each card has its own kind of, label to it. So, for example, in this one, the 9 of Arrows, it also says dedication. So because it has dedication on it, I find it a lot easier to read. But my spirit guide, who uses this, the priestess, she will often just ask me to look at the image and use the image to understand the message. And sometimes that image might be completely different to what the word is that's underneath. So, and that's where intuition really comes in, and when you have to start trusting your intuition and listening to the messages that are coming in, particularly in the early days, because in the early days I couldn't tell the difference between a spirit voice and my own voice. So it really took a lot of practice to really understand the difference of that, and really know how to how to learn to listen to that voice and what that voice sounded like. It's also helped to continue to open my chakras over time to help that energy flow into me as well. And over the course of the last 4 years, I've been able to somewhat level up, I would guess, in terms of the access to information that I have from the spirit world. So that's probably, you know, my experience and my a little bit about my journey. And I'd be more than happy to either answer questions or to read some cards or whatever anybody would like to do.
I don't have any questions in the comments, and Karen, you're muted.
How about no? Okay.
There.
Okay, I was just asking you. Generally, Shelley has quite a few questions. Do you want to start, Shell? You're muted.
Yes. So, and my question is based in like, I tend to have one foot in the spiritual world and one foot in the science world. So I'm always asking myself questions, and I can share that, Bonnie, you did a tarot reading for me, and we had just met each other. You didn't know anything about me. It was very beautiful, meaningful, very accurate. But the science side of me has questions like, you know, this is a game. It was a game in the 15th century in Italy. That'd be like Uno that we play now becoming used for divination in 500 years, right? Like, how do you understand that? How did it come to be used for divination, or how is that possible, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that the divination aspect was the game at the time. They were playing more things like, you know, I don't know, poker or whatever, you know, canasta or whatever with the tarot cards. So they were more as a standard card deck as we would know it today. With games, probably they had money that they were bidding in the, you know, in the aristocracy of Florence in Italy. And so, you know, there was a real surge in the late 1800s through to the Victorian times around mysticism. And there was a lot of interest in like the occult, let's say. And I think that's probably what speared it on and kind of helped usher tarot as we know it and how we read tarot into more mainstream, because divination has always been around. It's been around, you know, as I said, as long as humans have been alive. It's just the tools have changed on how we divine. And so probably just one community started using the tarot cards to start divining, and it caught on. Now, when it comes to spirit and science, you know, I come to the understanding that, you know, magic and psychic ability and our link to the spirit world, magic in general is just science we don't understand yet.
Mm-hmm.
Science is so new compared to our ancient understanding of the natural world that we've lost because science and patriarchy have kind of gotten in the way, really. And capitalism has kind of gotten in the way. So we just don't understand it yet. And one of the things that I'm really, really interested in more so even since we met last year, Shelley, is quantum entanglement. Because quantum entanglement is magic. And if you go into the rabbit hole of quantum entanglement, you can see how spiritual entanglement is 100% possible. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful because you can have two atoms acting in exactly the same way, be it here on Earth or be it in the farthest galaxy across the universe. they operate exactly the same way, and that is science that has been scientifically proven. And so for me, we just don't understand spirit yet from a scientific perspective.
And Einstein was the one that came up with that. And I think he called it the spooky factor or
The
something.
spooky, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
See, he didn't want to believe it, even though he found it or figured it out. But it freaked him out. I believe, like at the end of his life, or he kind of came around. But it was so, for those that have the scientific approach rather than the spiritual approach, which, you know, ultimately
It's all one and the same. Yeah.
But you know, like you said about when you pulled the card, you asked, are you really there? And you pulled the card, is it truth? I mean, like you, maybe, I mean, I know for myself, over the years, you think you're crazy. I thought I was crazy. I'm like, this can't be. I can't, all these things. I would question myself, like, maybe I'm just a fraud. Maybe I'm just making this stuff up or whatever. But there would be these things so clear, so obvious, that there was no way I could have known something about someone, about them now, about them in the past, about them in the future. And so, you know, you get the confirmation over and over again. So you have to kind of just go, okay, I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no scientific, you know, but again, like I always say, I'm like, I use a cell phone, and I don't know how that works either, but I'm okay with that. I don't know how electricity works, and I use it all the time. But you get those confirmations, and you have to build your trust. But then, so what I want to ask you is, like somebody was asking about muscle testing. And the thing about muscle testing and pendulum work especially is that it is so easy to inject your feelings, your fears into the response that, you know, and this was a group talking about it, and I'm like, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but if you're going to do that, at least, especially when you're first starting, you have to just kind of focus on things like, you know, nutrition, health kind of things that you don't have any kind of emotional hook on, because you can throw yourself off. And it takes practice, and it takes, and I've worked with people. I worked with a woman. She is so good, unbelievable with the pendulum. She was taught by Hannah Kroger. I don't know if you know who she is, but Hannah Kroger is kind of the queen of the empress of pendulum use in the United States. She was from Sweden or somewhere. And she was very good. But there were times I'm like,
well, okay, so I've thought about this a lot, right? And dowsing is similar. So dowsing for water or dowsing for whatever answers, it draws from energy that envelopes the earth and is through the earth and under the earth. Now, we are also part of earth, and we also channel that energy. And we're one of the best vehicles to channel the energy from the higher and upper worlds into the earth and lower worlds. And when it comes to pendulum use, I have the same question. When I'm emotionally detached from the answer, like I don't really care what the answer is, I just want the answer, then it tends to operate itself. I trust the answer and everything like that. But when I have a preferred answer, it tends to go in that direction. But I ask myself, what does it matter? Does it matter? Because the answer is going to be right, regardless of what the pendulum says. Because we are the same. we're no different to our spirit guide guiding us or ourselves guiding us.
Mhm.
We are one and the same. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, this is the answer I wanted. This is the answer that I'm getting here. Now,
Mhm.
when it comes to divining things like the outcomes of elections, I got the answer that, you know, one side was going to win on the other, and it was the opposite of that. So, you know, I think there's a lot of things at play, and you have to be very specific in the question that you're asking. And the universe always has a long-term plan for everything.
Mhm.
And you don't always know whether the situation that presents itself, if it's the opposite of what you want, actually that's probably for your best interest, because the universe is always looking after you.
Mhm.
So I think there's some sort of like acceptance that, you know, whatever you're projecting onto the pendulum is okay, and it's all the same anyway. And, you know, it's fine.
Yeah. That is an interesting way to think of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and then about being specific, I know, like I learned a long time ago, like, because they would say soon, and I would expect soon.
Soon in the
And then I
universal,
realized, okay,
it's
now I have
millennia.
to be very specific, like your
Yeah.
kind of soon
Yeah.
or my kind of soon, because those are two completely
Two
different things. And that's why I love to throw the stones, because I can't control, I mean, I shouldn't say can't. A pendulum I have in my hand, and you know, my energy is making it. But when you have all the stones in your hand and you roll them, you just let them go, they're landing where they're landing.
Yeah.
It's much less interference by my will onto those. And so probably like your cards, I mean, you're pulling them out of the deck and you're laying them down.
I don't see them. I don't look at them. I'm not looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not willing.
But then interpretation. So
Yeah.
You know, that is kind of a by the reader kind of a thing. No?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, you know, when you first start, each deck comes with a little booklet of what each card means. So you can read what each card means. Over time, you will get to know the cards, and particularly when there is a specific spirit guide attached, then the messages will be direct revelation for me. So they'll come directly what this card means in this question for this situation. And so the same card will mean two completely different things in two different contexts. And sometimes it's slow to come. Sometimes I need the whole spread to be able to understand the complete message. And it's just one case by case. It really is one by one, case by case, in terms of what the messages are. But that's where the intuition and the listening really comes in.
Yeah.
And learning to listen.
What about have you ever, I wonder if it would be the same in reading a card. Because I will know, for example, whether somebody's a marriage is going to stay together. Whether they're happy or not, whether they just met or not, whether it's been 30 years or not, I always know. But that's something that I never share, because you have to have the experience, right? If I say, you know, somebody asks, you know, is this going to work out? You don't want to give the answer, because whatever it is, they have to have the experience and take the steps and walk through. You know, if you already know that this isn't going to work out, you're going to behave differently than if you think it is, or if you don't know. So do you get that kind of thing, that you have to kind of make a decision on whether you're going to share what you're getting?
Yeah, there's definitely an ethical line that you need to hold, particularly when you're dealing with emotional aspects of very challenging aspects. I've had a couple of situations. So recently I visited with my father and his partner in Australia, and she asked me to read for her. And she kept on saying, ask, what's our health? But my dad wasn't interested. And even though he wanted to look and watch me read the cards for her, I knew that he didn't want me to read for him. And so I did not. And she also asked, okay, my son just got engaged. Will they have children? And I was like, I can't, that's not, his energy is not mine to hook into. I can't answer that question. I can ask the question, will you be a grandmother again? Because that's related to her and her experience. And then I can read on that. So there is an ethical aspect to it. Another example, I had a friend who was visiting me who was going through a bit of a rough patch, and she'd asked me to read cards for her. And one of the cards, it was through the oracle, and she's had a pretty rough life. And she asked the question, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I knew exactly which card would be pulled. It was pulled, and I had to tell her. And the card that was pulled was Karmic Path. Now, if you know anything about Karmic Paths, it's about the long journey your soul goes on through reincarnation, across time. And it's a hard message to receive, because it means that in this life, your life, you have a lesson that one of your past lives needed to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I really struggled to tell her, because I knew it would really upset her, that her life is because of a life that came before her, and that she was on this karmic path, and she needed to learn these lessons. But because she'd asked me to read, that was a moment where, yeah, I will tell her, because this is the message that was coming through. So, yeah, it's sometimes the messages are difficult. Sometimes I need to hold back. If I can really tell somebody's not interested. The same one, we were sitting down at a table and I started reading, and she's like, stop. The energy, I'm not feeling it. I'm not listening. I'm just being, my intuition is telling me that you need to stop. And that's when I completely back off, when somebody doesn't want to continue. And you just have to listen and accept that that's somebody's experience. Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be quite emotional for myself as well, and for people. So going in with an open, loving heart is always the most important thing.
Yeah, and then that whole discerning between, is it you, is it and for me, I can tell, even when we're in retreat and there's 20 people, and I can discern between what is coming in and what is like getting caught up in my stuff. But for myself, it can be challenging, because I know that I can interfere with my own self, and I know that I can push it or be afraid of an answer, or but then, like you said, like, you don't know, like I got hit with something about my mother, and the time frame, it was right, but the time frame was off, so sometimes it's just how you kind of walk with it.
Yeah.
But there's something, that's another thing I wanted to ask, what your thoughts were. So I do believe that when we read for somebody, or we, that's how it is, but that it's not set in stone. It's changeable.
Mm.
That you can alter your path and have a different outcome.
Mm.
Do you feel like that's applicable with your cards?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, is that it is a reflection tool on that moment, and whatever that challenge is that you're facing, or the question is that you're asking. And in fact, one of my favorite spreads offers that if you follow these cards, this is what the outcome will be. Like this is what comes later.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, if you don't do this, then you're probably going to continue on whatever path it is that you're on now, or the myriad of paths that could be available to you. But if you take on board this advice, then this is what could be at the end. And I love that spread because it's very actionable, you know.
But it's
Which is
also
quite
very annoying because when they come back 3 months later, 6 later, or whatever, and you're like,
did I do that? Yeah.
but you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And now you want me to fix it for you.
That's it.
And so we do what we can, but it can be challenging to not. So does anybody have any questions? Do we want her to read, to pull a card or read something, or does anybody have? Go ahead, Noelle. You have to put it in the chat, I
You'll
think.
type it in the chat. Type
Do you know
it.
where that is on the bottom right?
I have a question. So Bonnie, you were mentioning like the election result. Have you ever pulled a card or done a reading that is inaccurate or incomprehensible? And how have you come to understand that or process that?
Yeah, particularly for myself. So my guides are not really interested in reading for greater macro type cases, and they're not interested in money situations. So they don't give me a lot of insight around that type of thing. But when I go back through my journals, particularly when I was reading for myself every day or every week, which I don't anymore, because I don't find it necessary. When I go back, then it will be a certain kind of revelation, say, yes, I see how that played out, particularly when I didn't understand the situation at that time, or I didn't know what it was referring to. And then I can reflect and go back. Just trying to think of an example of that. And I also do this all the time in astrology, which is like going back into astrology as well. It's really interesting to see how the astrology is played out, just similar to how the cards have played out. Yeah, I can't think of an example right now, but let me have a look at the reading I did. I'm going through quite a lovely transition at the moment, actually, and so for example, my reading for last week was what I'm being met with is endurance. What I need to embrace is boredom. What I need to ignore is clearance, and what comes next is the world tree. And how I look back on that now is that last week was a long week, and I really needed to call in that endurance. And because I knew that ahead of time, I was able to say, you know what, this is going to be a long week. I've got a lot to do. I've got a lot of things going on. It might be boring. Some of it could be very boring because, it's work-related tasks or mundane tasks. But I just need to, it's not a time to rethink or clean or like clear out or, offload. It's really a moment. And then the world tree is like, well, let's see what you're being met with on the other side. It's kind of like a moment of decision making and choices. Like, we don't know what's on the other end. So it was really, when I look back on it now, it's quite interesting because last week was tough, and I really needed that endurance, and that really played out. So that's just a small example, I suppose.
It sounds like what you and Karen are talking a lot about, and we've actually, this comes up a lot in these sessions, is discernment, right? And we were having an earlier discussion about, what do you think of like apophenia, right? Like, so the human mind has evolved to seek pattern and meaning. And we have documented research that we will seek pattern and meaning where there is none, right? And then we also tend to remember positive correlations and forget negative correlations. Do you ever worry that any of that is going on with tarot card reading?
No, I haven't really thought that deeply, I suppose, about it. It probably goes back, when I think about it, to a similar sort of point when using a pendulum. Does it matter? Does it truly matter in the end? As long as it's affecting you positively. And what my journey has taught me over the last 4 or 5 years is that if you listen, if you listen and follow guidance, you will receive. You will receive, your purpose will become clear, your time on this earth will be worthwhile. And does it really matter if that has been influenced by your natural brain? Because it's actually your heart that matters the most, and the love in your heart. Your brain just gets in the way. It just gets in the way. So for me, it's all the same. And when you think about kind of all and everything, we are all children of nature. We're not different to nature. And so if this is our nature talking, that's correct, and that's the right answer, because our brains are our nature. However that our brains are influenced, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It's not wrong. It's always right. Even if things don't make sense to us in the moment, it's always going to be right.
So it's a tool for self-reflection.
Tool for self-reflection, tool for everything reflection, I would say.
We have a couple questions, so I hope you're ready to put get your friends to work with us here. Bonnie?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just reading through the questions, and
Okay.
yeah, absolutely happy to do whatever reading I can. And I thought it might be nice just to do more of a communal reading for all of us in the circle before we get into more specifics, if you like, if you're happy for that to be shared. So I can start with more of a general reading, and I'm going to use my old trusted oracle deck, because this is the one, and often my guides will let me know their presence through physical sensations, and so I'm getting physical sensations of their presence right now, which is beautiful. And what this reading will be is kind of a general reading for all of us, and some of it might not necessarily resonate with you, and that's okay. Just take what does resonate, what works for you, and you can leave the rest, because it is a general reading. But what I'd like to know is, what are we being met with in this moment? What do we need to let go of? What can we call in to support us, and where it leads to next? So let me start with that. what we're being met with, what we need to let go of, what we can call in, and what is it we need. So yeah, it's very topical, because I think for some of us this can help us with understanding a new life, and you can really use these divining tools to help you search for the life that you want, and lead you to a new spiritual life, if you like. You can take this moment and tomorrow wake up and say, okay, I want to actually learn more about access to guides, and whether that's through oracle or crystals or astrology or religion or whoever, this can be a threshold for you to step into something different. And for the moment, you don't need to understand who exactly is there to love you. This is the divinity card. And what's this saying is, like, you don't have to have the faith right now. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to really feel like you must have direct revelation right now in order to understand what's happening. So you can park that on the side for right now and not really worry about that, and let that come actually later. Let that come naturally. Let that come through practice. And what that can come through is also through knowledge. And this is the card of to call in knowledge. What is it that you want to learn about? What is it that you want to explore? And follow those paths, follow those rabbit holes, see where they take you in terms of this spiritual journey, because knowledge will help you find that divine love, because where it will lead ultimately is power. Isn't that a beautiful card? That will lead you to power and understanding, and will help you elevate not just yourself, but those around you.
Would you elaborate on power for our other viewers, like on the people that watch this later? There could be a misunderstanding about that word.
So this is absolutely power within yourself. It's not power as perhaps the patriarchy might define it. So let's put it that way. It's power in yourself, power in the divine, power of your own self-confidence and self-understanding, and your ability to move through this world with confidence and energy, and power to make a difference.
That's the best one.
So how did that feel for you? And I'm happy to hear if anybody has any reflections on that.
I wrote everything down.
It's in the recording, Wendy. You didn't even have to.
I know, but I want to read it in the morning. I don't want to
that's
have to go look. I was just like, oh my God, I feel like she's talking to me. I felt like it was general, but it was for me.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Yeah.
No questions.
Yeah. And knowledge comes, just that was the one that really piqued my, because knowledge is everywhere. It's in the trees, it's in a walk, it's in the way the water spills on the table. It's
if we listen,
books, of course,
we will
from
learn. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you let yourself, it comes all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Are you getting ready for a personal question, or are you
Yes.
doing something else?
So I can. I was going to head to Nancy, because actually Nancy the priestess has nudged me to do your reading. So I will use like the different card set, slightly different questions, pretty much the same. And your question is, what would be the next step at this point in life journey? And so let me continue here. Oh, one card's upside down. I don't like it when my cards are all different ways. And everybody will have their own style. Some people will, read drop cards. Like if a card falls on the floor, they'll read that and take that for meaning. I do not, because at the beginning I was dropping every card, and so I didn't trust myself, right? I was like, no, I'm not taking this. And I like all my cards to be ordered in the same direction. And I don't know why they're all messed up right now. So just bear with me 1 second.
That's funny. I'll just interject with reading the stones. And I only did that because somebody asked me to do a big fair. It was a very fancy, ritzy fair show thing, whatever. And I didn't use any tools. And they're like, you have to have something because the people want to see something. So I'm like, all right. So I got, because I knew about casting stones. And so I figured it out and I did that. Anyway, so that's why I do that, and I love teaching that one because it's such it's easy and again because you roll them. But anyways, when a stone would like roll off the table or wouldn't come out of the bag, I would know. I took it as it's not a factor. Like in this situation or this question, it's just not. It doesn't. And then we would read the cast and oh yeah, that makes total sense that one didn't want to participate.
What's interesting is when you use the different divining tools, is the validation it brings, because I'd read for myself. I knew what journey I was on, but when Karen read my stones, it fully 100% validated everything. And Karen didn't know. I didn't know I 100% validated every path that I knew that I was on. And I think that was really, really beautiful, being able to use multiple tools to get receive the same message, essentially. So that was one thing I really loved. So Nancy, what's the next steps for you in your journey at this point in your life? So what do you need to know? What do you need to embrace? What do you need to ignore? And what comes next? Okay. So Nancy, at the moment, you've received the attraction card. So this is the Two of Vessels. Vessels relates to emotion and attraction. And attraction, the imagery can be a bit misleading because it's not necessarily about romance. It absolutely could be about romance. But I see this more as, okay, what in life is really drawing you in? What is really taking your attention? What are you being drawn to? What is piquing your interest right now? And if there's something in your life that is bringing you joy, that is the direction that you want. And that's really coming through. Is your joy is really coming through for me right now in terms of maybe there's something that perhaps you haven't felt freedom to explore. Perhaps you haven't had the ability or the time, or the word permission is coming through. Maybe you haven't given yourself permission to explore, but you're still attracted to whatever that is, and it brings you a lot of happiness in life. And the cards are really wanting you to explore that area. What you can embrace as part of that journey is your home. So whatever foundations you have at home, whatever your life, whatever you've built. Now, home could be both a physical presence or family around you, and you can really embrace. So it's family members that would support you. in finding and helping you with that joy. Perhaps there's somebody that perhaps you haven't connected with for a while, that perhaps has not been in your life for very more recently, but was perhaps part of this part of your life in the past, that could support you in this journey. Now, what is going to come is frustration. You might be frustrated by some of the steps that you take, but just know that frustration is unwarranted, because it's actually wasted energy. You don't need to have that frustration to continue what you're exploring. And that might be frustration in the situation around your home, and perhaps friends or family that could support you. But it's actually time to move on from that frustration and kind of continue beyond that, step beyond that frustration, and lead with love, I would say. Because what it will bring in your life is balance. And this is a beautiful big card that shows that if you take these steps, you will find a beautiful balance in your life that will see you through your years to come. That's all she has to say. So she'll end. That's those are her messages. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, I will speak for her. She seems to be very pleased with what you said. So you got her. You hit it. You connected. Great. Thank you. And then the other one, or you want to go with that question that you had? Other N name? You want to use that? You want to ask about that? You stick with that? Just that, or no? Do you have a different? Yes, I am talking to you. You asked the question. Okay, the one that you had. Okay. So that was the one. Okay, you ready? Did you see that one?
I didn't see which.
It says 7:47 p.m.
7:47. Wendy asked Bonnie if she needs a name, and if
No, the next one.
next one. Health recently, major fatigue and changes. Worried about autoimmune diseases. Worried about autoimmune diseases. Okay, so it's really related to your health and what's happening there. Okay. A different card is asking to come out. Actually, I wasn't going to pull them out, but actually it's Mary Magdalene. I don't know if you have any kind of connection to Mary Magdalene at all, Noelle. I don't know if she's like somebody that you've read up on, or you've read a book on, or I don't know if there's any knowledge that you have, but anyway, she's coming. She really wants me to read. She's one of my guides as well. She's a lovely guide, and very prolific when it comes to being a spirit guide. She's very supportive in the spirit world. So she's asked me to read for you.
I think that's an honor to have Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. I say her name with the English pronunciation. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know what it is.
So this is a lot of divine feminine energy. She is beautiful when it comes to divine feminine. She's like, you know, I haven't used these cards in a while, so it's excited to have them out. So let's see. what you're being met with, what to let go of, what to call in, and where does it lead. And I'm just going to do 3 more cards. What is the issue? Action to avoid. Action to take. Okay. So what you're being met with here is divine order. And what is coming through is like everything is exactly as it should be. Again, it's one of those tricky messages where it's like, even if things don't feel right, trust that they are right. Which is really not very actionable. But there's a lot of love surrounding you. You have a lot of spiritual support, even if you're not fully aware of it. And your journey is part of the divine order of things. And what to let go of here is it's the messenger card. There is nothing hidden here. There's no secret message. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing behind whatever it is that's worrying you. She almost wants to say that, and I don't know whether this is kind of like the correct message from a medical standpoint, because I think you should continue to explore, and this is where the ethical aspect comes in, right? It's like, how much do I go with this? Because take from this what you will. But you know, in the grand reading of things, everything is as it should be. There's no hidden message. There's no underlying problem. There's no underlying condition. Now, that could mean that actually there could be an underlying condition, but that you shouldn't worry about it. So that could be one way to interpret, or that actually, you know, there is actually nothing there. I kind of lean that there could be an underlying condition, but you shouldn't worry about it. That's kind of the message that I'm receiving through here. What she's asking to call in is acceptance. And this is where all the cards kind of come together, because if there is something underlying, there's a level of acceptance for that condition that you need to take. Because this is the divine order of things. And where that leads is the prophet. And that could be the fulfillment of a prophecy, or something that your ongoing spirit needs to fulfill. Now, one thing is for sure is you do have a guardian angel with you. And you are being looked after. Mary Magdalene is one of them. I think that there's definitely others there with you. At this time, this is not a time for transformation. You don't need to transform anything according to your spirit guides. Now, again, this is not health, health information. I would definitely recommend continue to see your health practitioners. What action to take is mythic reality. And so there's definitely a journey here for you, Noelle, that's coming through that is tough. That's how I'm reading it. And there's a level of acceptance here that might be tough to receive. That might be tough to bring about. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you are deeply loved and protected in this journey.
I've seen it coming for a while now with you. Thank you, Bonnie. See, that's one of those things, but you can't say anything until the person is ready. It just played out right here. It happens all the time. I need a tissue.
Shelley, can we take everyone off mute? Would it be okay to? I'd love to hear Noelle's voice.
It's fine with me. The only thing is, if you don't want your picture, then put your because this is going to go on YouTube. So if you don't want your picture, then turn your camera off. If you don't care, then leave it on. Wendy, can you do it? Because I don't know how to do it.
Let me try.
Hi.
We can hear you.
Hi. Thank you for the reading. I feel okay. I something is wrong. I might have something, but I did blood work today. And, I'm really fatigued and tired and just worn out, and something's wrong. So, I do believe in the tarot cards in some respect. Like I said, I think it provokes deeper thought. And it gets thinking if you study which card means what in perspective and conclusion. We all have an I want to know where I'm at, and I want every aspect, any kind of needs and perspectives. I think there's always a higher thought process we don't always give ourselves a chance to pay attention to in our day-to-day lives. Like, we're just so busy, we don't sit here and do this, we don't sit and talk as a group. Can you hear me? Anyone?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't mean to talk too much.
You're not. I love what you said. Yeah.
I can't hear everybody. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know that everybody. There are people that are muted.
I'm
I don't
seeing
know.
everybody's
Maybe they turned theirs off or something.
icon.
I don't know what happened. But that's all right. But because not everybody wants to necessarily be on the recording. So, yeah.
been feeling
So what
about it
really,
for a while?
huh?
With me, you
What?
felt something was wrong? You felt something was wrong for a while with me?
When she hit that mythic journey card or mythic
Reality.
something,
reality.
mythic reality card, I was like, oh my God, that's it. Yeah.
Mhm.
That,
Well, if you
the other
felt
cards
it, you know it. You know?
Yeah, but that's like we said, there are things, it's like I'm just going to go, hey, by the way, you gotta wait till when the person's ready, and then I, as always, I'm thrilled to accompany you, but I'm not gonna throw it at you till you're ready. So there it is.
Sweetheart, this came to me 1 minute before this came out. I saw this on my phone. I was not on my phone, and I saw that I could jump on this like 1 minute before 8 or whatever it was, like or whatever. Oh my God!
You were nudged to join by your spirit guide, by your guardian angel.
Exactly.
You were nudged to join.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And I believe everything that you said to be not just general. Like I know what's general. We all know what's general. It can apply to anybody at any time. I do, and that's why I asked you. I normally wouldn't have asked anything. I wouldn't have asked for a reading. But it's like, okay, let me think for a second here. And, I'm going through some things, so I don't know what they are yet. I don't have the answers yet, so this was a good time to jump on here. We'll see what the outcome is and how it unravels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. And this was such a helpful group. And Karen is like a big sister to me. So, I mean, I felt very privileged to be here, like happy to be here. I haven't seen you in a while, but I miss you.
I miss you too. But you're here.
Yes, always, always, always.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh boy.
I love you. Don't cry.
No, it's not.
It's like happy
They're
joy,
not
right?
tears of sadness. It's tears of connection.
Tears of
Yeah.
connection. Tears
You
of
know that there's when your heart gets involved and it gets to speak and it gets to that's what it is. It's like, when when you're praying and you're connecting with Creator and you're crying, you're not sad. It's just that connection that you're
It's
just
the overwhelming
powerful.
emotion,
Yeah.
right? It is. And I just love seeing you. Like I when I just saw you when you were right here, I'm like, oh my God, look how beautiful, oh my God. And then all the emotions of knowing you for all these years. And my first time I met you, I remember when you were wearing overalls coming out of a moving truck. And I remember being this young girl going, oh, she's so pretty.
Wow, I
like
don't
a role model, like somebody,
Oh.
that you idolized. when
Back
you were
then, I
younger.
don't know. That would have been the truck to get off.
I love you. And I love participating in this group. And anytime I can join in on your adventures here, I would love to. And the tarot cards, I picked them up. I don't know, like you, Bonnie. I don't. But I picked them up and I started working with them for months. And I just thought it brought a deeper meaning to everything. It made me think instead of be surface walking through life,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I got from it. I wasn't afraid of it like it's Satan, or something, it wasn't like, there's Christianity. They say, don't do this, don't read tarot cards. And, but I believe in God and I believe in tarot cards. So if you have somebody that knows how to read them.
Right.
That's you.
So we ran over, which is okay. Obviously anybody some people have left, and that's okay. We ran over and good, but you were our first guest, Bonnie, and
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed having you and learning new
It's been
things.
beautiful to be here and to be in this circle.
Yes. So we end this our weekly Whispers of the Soul with a short, if the healing, we'll send healing energy to you, and all you need to do is relax and allow, and I may leave, when my role is done, I'm done, but you stay in it for as long as you like. And on YouTube, you can go back to any of these videos anytime and, just fast forward to, and the energy is still there, which, speaking of the spooky effect or whatever Einstein called it, that to me, that's just such a weird thing that it can still be there. But there are some that Shelley, in the last, had looked at some of the old ones, like from 15 years ago. Wendy, can you believe it's been that long? It's unbelievable it's been that long. But anyway, and that it was still there. So how that works, couldn't tell you. So, all right, so get comfortable. I'll say my prayer and off we go. Ooh. Acceptance. Such a powerful word. And allow yourself to feel that powerful, I don't even want to say emotion. It's like like being on a river, a calm river. It's all good. With every inhale, at least the next several, feel your heart expand and release. Inhale, heart expand. Release.